Hello, everyone. Excited to be here to talk about shocking AI, but really the real application that we can insert AI, in particular conversational AI, to help resolve patient bills. So first of its kind in the patient financial experience. So my name is Dugan, Winkie. I lead commercial strategy at Cedar, and thank you for joining me. So just a quick blurb, who is Cedar? Our mission is to empower us all to easily and affordably pursue the care that we need. We do this through two tranches. One, personalized, frictionless payment experiences to make it as easy as possible for those who have the clear means and intent to pay. And secondarily, how do we unlock additional sources of reimbursement and charity care for those who affordability is the top paramount concern? So I'll just describe the problem that we're facing here from two lenses. First, being the patient. So I guarantee you I could do a quick poll of the audience and ask who has had a terrible billing experience following a healthcare episode, right? And nearly everyone's hand will go up in some form or fashion. I was actually just speaking with an individual doing an interview earlier today, and at the end of it, he's like, I actually just received this bill for care I received 12 months ago, and this was the first notification I ever got. So these types of stories are ubiquitous in the industry. And what is that lasting impression that the patient leaves their care journey with? It's frustration and it's confusion. And oftentimes the first thing that they do is pick up the phone and call the health system. All right, let's flip to the provider lens now. So what are some of the macro factors that are going on right now with providers? First off, for the first time in history, the majority of privately employed employees are on a high deductible health plan. That means patient responsibility is increasing. Simultaneously, there's a mandate to decrease costs. Providers are operating with razor-thin margins. And then the last piece, which I think most people can understand and appreciate, is that it's a constant game of ping pong right now. You call the provider, they direct you to call the payer. You call the payer, they say, actually, that's an issue with your HSA bank. You need to call them. You get a bill from the provider, you get a bill that says it's not a bill from the payer. All of this is incredibly confusing. So ultimately, what do we think the solution is? We've been spending the past year training our LLM to identify and resolve easy to medium use cases in a seamless manner where it meets the patient where they are. And the outcome of that is we have initial results that show 25 to 30% automation potential for inbound calls related to the billing call center. Insert Cedar Support. So what is Cedar Support? At the end of the day, I mentioned meeting the patient where they are. The first part is for those who are already engaging with us digitally, we need to insert a LLM-driven synthesis and summary to the patient to understand what is a professional charge, what is a technical charge, what is this thing called deductible or coinsurance, in a way that the consumer can understand. The net objective here is if we are successful, we answer the question, they fulfill their payment obligation, and they don't need to call in the first place. However, we always know that there's a certain demographic of patient that picks up the phone. They want to talk to somebody. They may actually have a fairly easy question, but it's predominantly through a phone modality. So that's where our AI voice agent enters the scene. We can triage and answer the questions that patients have in a way that only the most complicated ones are ultimately escalated to a call center representative. And then finally, that last rung is for those high complexity use cases, how do we arm that representative with the information at their fingertips so that they can answer that patient's questions more efficiently? So at the end of the day, these are real results from our initial alpha client, where across each of those three pillars, we are seeing a 12% call reduction due to self-service, 25% call automation for those who do pick up the phone and call, and a 10% call duration reduction, indicating the efficiency on the representative side. So we believe firmly at the end of the day, LLMs are going to become rapidly commoditized. So what makes us different? It's really the data that we have at our fingertips, where we have set up integrations with 160 plus payers. We have access to HSA information from 9 out of the 10 HSA banks. And simultaneously, we have deep integrations with providers, not just one provider, but multiple providers kind of in a geography where we're able to aggregate those bills, but also, essentially eliminate this game of ping pong where we can answer some of those more payer-oriented questions when they call the provider, right? As opposed to just redirecting them. So what this looks like in practice, this is kind of following that same intake funnel, if you will. So imagine when you get a text message or an email saying your bill is ready, you enter that digital ecosystem and it explains your bill is $1,650. That actually includes a facility bill and a physician bill. Here's what each of those mean. It may have coinsurance. What is coinsurance? And where are you on your deductible status in real time? Those are all things that we can consolidate and articulate in a highly conversational manner at the end of the day to answer those questions. And by the way, we can do personalized call to action. If we think they would be a candidate for financial assistance or for a payment plan, all of those can be enabled through the digital interaction. Next, I won't play it today, but we have an AI voice agent that is able to have a conversation with a patient. This is not an IVR tree where it's select 1 if you have option A, select 2 if you have option B. This is a conversation, and it's a conversation that we can have with patients, and we can nudge them to affordability mechanisms, we can explain questions, we can provide definitions. All of those critically important, but ultimately, at the end of the day, there is a valuable role for those billing call center representatives, but let's make sure that we allow them to operate at the top of their license. So providing an AI case researcher that says, hey, this patient has called in 3 times. It's all been about this one issue and this one bill, and here is the synthesis of any of their previous touch points within our digital ecosystem. And most importantly, here is the answer, because the average call center representative has to hunt and peck through the EHR and dig through PDFs of legacy bills. It's extremely inefficient, where we believe that our model in Cedar Support can play a big role. So that is Cedar Support. Incredibly excited to be unveiling it here. And then I just want to leave with one call to action. So what we are doing is an AI automation assessment. So we will ingest call recordings and actually run that through our LLM to determine what % of calls do we think have the potential for automation through one of those 3 tranches. So QR code up there. Thank you all for the time, and have a good rest of the conference.